Om Ajnanandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshuranmilitan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajevam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Nishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Tvam Nitya Mukta Parishudha Vibhuda Atma Kutha Sadi Kurusha Bhagavasi Adisha Yad Bhudyavastita Makhanditaya Sadrishtya Desta Stithavadi Makovya Divrikta Ashe. So we are seeing in this chapter very wonderful prayers in glorification of the Supreme Lord that are being offered by a young boy, the famous Dhruva Maharaj. We have so many heroes in spiritual life. In material life, people have pop stars, sportsmen, and politicians as their heroes. And these heroes are worshipped for some time, and then they get dethroned. Then they get replaced by new heroes. But our spiritual heroes, they never get replaced. Just like you've been hearing about Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, and so many of the exalted devotees since time immemorial. When you're reading the Bhagavatam, it's not something recent. These are all ancient stories. So Dhruva Maharaj was able to attract the personality of Godhead. How did he achieve that? By performing austerities. Did he perform austerities on some whimsical plan? His plan of austerity was approved and directed by the great Narada Muni. He chanted a mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He made a form of the Lord, made of mud and water, and he constantly meditated on that form of the Lord. And he practiced extreme austerity. We do not suggest that you imitate Dhruva Maharaj's austerity plan, but the mood of austerity or the importance of austerity cannot be compromised when you want to practice spiritual life. So even though he was a young boy, he was able to please the Lord. He was offering prayers. He was advised austerity. He was able to please the Lord, and the Lord personally appeared before him. So in this verse, many important points are made with reference to the transcendental personality of Godhead. When you read the Bhagavatam, you can understand how the Lord is always a person, and he has unlimited transcendental attributes or qualities. And the devotees, they relish meditating on these transcendental pastimes. Just like last night we were discussing Lord Chaitanya's conversation with Ramananda Roy, and one of the questions the Lord Chaitanya asked was, what should one constantly remember? And what did Ramananda Roy say? Meditate on the transcendental names of the Lord, His qualities, pastimes. So as opposed to material contemplation, a devotee endeavors towards spiritual contemplation. So the first point that Dhruva Maharaj is making here is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a witness to all stages, to all activities. So we must understand the Lord as a witness to all our activities. He knows everything about past, present and future. In the Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna heard that the Lord had imparted this knowledge to the sun god Vivaswan, Arjuna said, how am I to believe that he imparted it to Vivaswan when he's seen it to you by birth? The Lord replied by saying, many, many times, for you and I have appeared, but I can remember all my previous appearances, but you can't. Prabhupada explained, he used to give us a story. He said when he was in college once, Prabhupada studied in a Scottish college in Calcutta. So one professor asked him, you people believe in reincarnation, but who is witnessing all the activities that we perform? That witnessing personality is the Supreme Lord. Then Dhruva Maharaj says, you are eternally liberated. There's no question of the Supreme Lord ever getting affected or being bonded by anything. God is always liberated. There's no question of God getting liberated through adopting a certain process. Krishna says in the Gita, Janma Karma Chame Devyam, my coming and going are both transcendental, Devyam. And He always exists as the Super Soul. The Lord is so kind that even if one takes on a lower form of birth, lower species of life, the Lord still accompanies the individual as a Super Soul. Kūṭāstha Adi Purusho Bhagavān Adisha. Adi Purusho. Adi Purusho means you are the original person. So Dhruva Maharaj is making the same point. He says, you are God, Bhagavan. You are the original person. Every morning we bring the deities accompanied by the Govindam prayers from the Brahma Samhita. And in this prayer, Lord Brahma acknowledges, Govinda, you are the original person. So we should never forget this point that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the original person, and He is a person, He has a form. The impersonal aspect of God is subordinate to the recognition of the Lord's personal features. Further, Dhruva Maharaj says that you are the possessor of 6 opulences. Bhagavan. In this verse, the word used is Bhagavan. So Bhagavan means the Lord who is in possession of 6 opulences. But He is in possession of 6 opulences to an unlimited degree, all at the same time. What are the 6 opulences? Aishwarasya Samagrasya Viryata Yashashashya Jnana Viragya Vaishchaiva Sanna Bhaga Itangina. These have been explained by the father of Vyasadeva, Prashya Muni, as follows. He's the wealthiest, he's the strongest, the most beautiful, the most famous, the most knowledgeable, the most renowned. So someone may say that in the material world you also have beautiful people. You have these competitions by which to determine Miss World, Mr. World. They first select the most beautiful lady or man in one country, then you compete with the other countries, and ultimately on some crazy yardstick which only they know, they determine, okay, this person is Miss World and he's Mr. World. Of course, even if this Mr. Miss World is there, so many Miss Worlds have come and gone, and they may be attractive today, but they don't have to be attractive tomorrow. And certainly, even if one is Miss World, she may not necessarily be the richest person, or the strongest person, or the most beautiful person, or the most famous person. And even if somebody is strong, nobody can be as strong as Krishna was. If you want an idea of Krishna's opulence, read the Krishna book, Krishna's palaces in Dwarka. 6 Krishna possesses the 6 opulences to an unlimited degree, all at the same time. So we are not accepting a personality as God who may be cheating us, but we are accepting the genuine personality as God. Then Dhruva Maharaj says, you're always different from the ordinary living entities. And as Lord Vishnu, Dhruva Maharaj establishes that you're the maintainer of everything. So, we must understand that the Lord is the cause of all causes, Sarva Karana Karana. And it is that single living entity who is maintaining all other living entities. Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bhavanam Vidati Kamam. Living entity is Nitya, the Lord is Nitya. But the difference is, that single living entity is maintaining all other individuals. Sri Adisha, He's a master of the three modes of mature nature. So the point is that unlimited qualities of the Lord that we read about in the Bhagavatam, and we see one pattern, that is, the devotees are always glorifying the Lord. In 8th canto you read how an elephant he was saved from a very difficult condition, Gajendra. And then he also began to offer very wonderful offerings to the Lord. So why is it that we see these exalted devotees always anxiously enthusiastic glorifying the Lord, and we don't have that same aptitude? When you read about these transcendental qualities, you will once again get reminded, yes, how great my Lord is, how wonderful He is. So, the reason we are not attracted is due to our mature contamination. Because of the anarthas in the heart. With the heart, as we explained before, is as black as a coal. We're not so attracted towards transcendental things, but we're attracted towards mature things. Like we would love to get involved in Prachalpa. Get involved in Krishna Katha is not so natural. Maybe in Moscow it's different. Maybe over here everyone has a natural attraction to Krishna Katha. So, that is due to our mature contamination, and the way to eradicate this mature contamination is through this process of devotional service. Another point that Dhruva Maharaj makes is the contamination of the material world does not in any way affect the Lord. And the Lord also stands aloof. So, Dhruva Maharaj, as we said earlier, should be one of our heroes. We must cultivate the movement of constantly glorifying the Lord. We must cultivate the importance of performing austerities. Austerity for the pleasure of the Lord results in unending satisfaction. Do not for a moment think that the materialist or in material life there is no austerity. In material life, the austerities are painful. It doesn't matter where you go, which part of the world you go. Material life, one has to undergo so many austerities, even to maintain your body, even to maintain yourself. Lord Rishabdev was explaining to his sons about the importance of human life. And he said, Tapo Devyam Putraka Yena Sattvam, Shurayena Smad Ramya Sokyam Anantam. That my dear sons, when you perform austerities, Divyam, for the pleasure of the Lord, then in exchange for that, there is a realization of unending happiness. So in spiritual life, we should not be scared of austerity. One type of austerity that we have to practice in spiritual life is getting up in the morning for Mangalarati, performing sadhana bhakti. Another austerity, you must chant your rounds every day. Another austerity is following the regulator principles. The senses are always agitating, but if the senses are engaged positively, then they're not dangerous. Just like when the poisonous teeth of a snake are removed, that even if the snake bites you, there is no risk. So we have to remove the poison from these senses. That means we have to take out the desires of material sense enjoyment. And that can only be done if you have a positive alternative or a higher alternative. Then another austerity is that you have to seduce the service that you have to do a service that you may not always like. But if we do that service, especially if it's very important, then you make spiritual advancement. Just like these days, the devotees in the CIS, at least in Russia, are engaged in this Prabhupada in this book distribution marathon. So some devotees enthusiastically participate in these programs, the book distribution effort. But some are scared. Is that right? Maybe no one's scared. Some get scared. They think, oh, I can't distribute books. It's too difficult to approach someone. I'm very shy. People are in a bad mood and the economy is bad. They're not really spending any money. They won't buy books. If I go out, I won't get a big score and people will just laugh at me. So they serve the illusory energy, inspires us, motivates us with so many reasons by which we stay away from a very important service. So what is the solution? Should we listen to your material mind? How many of you think we should listen to the material mind and just do what the mind says? So, practice what he just said. Don't listen to your material mind. All of you just said you shouldn't listen to your material mind. So, don't listen to the weaknesses of the material mind or the arguments that the material mind is giving. And spiritual, when you come to spiritual life, you hear one thing. The material mind has been cheating you since times immemorial. So ignore the material mind. And who do you listen to? The spiritual purified mind of Vyasadeva. That is reflected in the verses of the Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, etc. And which has been explained by great acharyas in their purport. So this activity of preaching, this activity of book distribution, is an activity by which we display our compassion towards those who are unfortunate. It is the desire of the Lord to bring all the conditioned souls back. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, you read how Lord Chaitanya was in anxiety. So he asked Haridas, how will all these Yavanas be saved? So what does Haridas say? Do not worry, my Lord. By offenselessly chanting the holy names, they'll get saved. How do people know what they should do, what they should avoid? Some may say, oh, Krishna should appear in a dream and tell them. Or Krishna will appear in a dream once he gets purified. Krishna relies on his devotees to do the work, preach on his behalf. That is why, if you read the scriptures, you see from the very beginning, this activity of preaching on behalf of the Lord is appreciated and encouraged. When was the Bhagavad Gita spoken? 5,000 years ago, yes, the last time, but actually was spoken to the Sangha the last one. And what does Krishna say in the 18th chapter? Who is my dearest devotee? One who preaches my glories. So you want to become dear to the greatest personality? Then endeavor to preach. What did Prabhupada say? Same thing, preach. Prabhupada said preaching is the essence. But if we just preach, tell them Krishna is supreme, give up sense enjoyment, people may listen, but they'll forget it. Especially these days in Kali Yuga, our memory is very weak. Many times you read the devotees who say, oh, I read everything with Maharaja, I forget it so fast, what should I do? So what's the solution? Read and reread. Read regularly. Get into the habit of reading. Then what you read, by repetitive reading, will register in your heart. Stay with it. So Prabhupada said, if you just talk to someone about Krishna consciousness, you forget it. But if you give them a book, then you keep the book, read it, reread it, get others to read it. Therefore, Prabhupada emphasized this activity of book distribution. And the purpose of these book distribution marathons is to inspire all devotees, whether they're full-time temple devotees, communication devotees, etc., to take advantage of the mood of the marathon and to get into the spirit of book distribution. Marathon means when you reduce your eating and sleeping. So these marathons are a wonderful opportunity for all devotees, even those who don't normally do full-time book distribution, to engage in some type of book distribution so they can get the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, the great acharyas and the Guru. It's a wonderful opportunity to make spiritual advancement. It's a wonderful opportunity to show the spiritual master and Prabhupada and the acharyas that yes, we care for what you have told us. So please take part in this book distribution marathon. There's only a week left now. So some of you may say, okay, maybe I'll take part in the next marathon. Now this one's almost over. Can anyone guarantee how long one is going to live? There's reliable astrologers that have told you how long you're going to live. If you have one, then let me know. So don't wait for the upper, don't postpone it. A good thing should not be postponed. Just like in the trail life, if you get an opportunity to make a good business deal, you don't say, okay, I'll use it 6 months later. When you are in pain, you want your pain to be relieved immediately. You don't want it to be relieved gradually or 6 months later. So the materialists are all suffering. And we display our compassion by endeavoring to preach. And when we give people Krishna consciousness, Krishna also gives himself to us. And Krishna says, whatever shortcoming you may have, I'll make it up. So everyone can take part in this book distribution program. And we should never worry about what the material factors are. Sometimes devotees have a habit of arguing, oh, people don't have money these days, this place is bad, and so on. Krishna is pleased by our effort. So make the effort and advance spiritually. A wonderful opportunity to give the mercy of the Guru, Prabhupada and Krishna. So to summarize the verse, Dhruva Maharaj is explaining the various transcendental qualities of the Supreme Lord. And we should endeavor to constantly meditate on the transcendental qualities of the Lord. The whole purpose of this Krishna conscious movement is to emphasize the importance of cleansing the heart, cleansing the mind, senses, of purifying ourselves. And by taking the diet and the medicine, that will happen. Medicine is chanting and hearing. Diet is the service. So we need both to cleanse the heart. So please take advantage of the wonderful philosophy and instruction that Prabhupada has given us and be spiritually happy. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.